Good. Might have noticed, Jeep looks like it's missing something. Had to take off the old rooftop tent to get it in the new shop here. It all worked out. Here's what we're getting into today. Coming up here, we have our yearly road trip that we take to Alabama. Last year we took Cream Puff, the $1,000 XJ. This year, we're either gonna take my Jeep, this here XJ, or Courtney's 2012 JK. Whichever one seems the most reliable when it's time to leave, that's what we're gonna take. There's a couple questionable things that I need to address on this Jeep before I'm ready to take it on such a road trip. Let's check it out. If you'll recall, a little while ago, we went through every important sensor under the hood here and replaced it with high quality NTK sensors. So that includes the crank position sensor, cam position sensor, throttle position sensor, and the map sensor. Really the only thing we didn't replace was the IAC valve, idle air controller. Keeps the Jeep running right at idle. Sometimes the thing runs rough at idle. Let's see if we can get it to do it. So it sounds pretty good right now, but occasionally it'll stumble. There it's kind of stumbling a little bit, but anyway, it only ever happens at idle. It never happens when you're revving through the gears or just cruising at highway speed. And I figured it's the only thing I didn't replace, so we're gonna throw one of them on. NTK doesn't make an IAC valve for the 4-liter, so Standard Motor Products, heard some good things about them. There it is. I'm gonna disconnect the battery just so everything can reset, and we'll swap out that sensor. I'll move this here so you can see. There you go. Pretty simple stuff. Unplug the connector. And we just got some T20 Torx. Just pop that guy right out. Looks a little dirty and such. Here's our new one up against the old one here. Not too much different about them, so we're not even gonna talk about it. Going in. Nice fit. That'll work. Plug it on in. Click. Boom. Done. Let's turn it over. See what happens. Whoa! Don't know what to do. There it is, creeping back down to an idle. Still kind of high. Well, no check engine light yet. That's good. Oh, we got a vacuum leak. Yeah. Stop on that. Oh. Hey, there we go. Much better. Forgot about that. That sounds pretty darn good. I would drive this to Alabama right now. Nope. We got to fix that other issue. On to questionable thing number 2. Next thing we need to fix is this dang driveline vibration. Very noticeable at low speeds. We're doing 25 and steering wheel's shaking. You might be able to hear it. It's pretty bad. So a few months ago, I may have decided to do a neutral drop burnout. And ever since then, it's been shaking like this. Thinking, take it back to the shop, throw in a set of U-joints on the rear drive shaft. It never vibrated this bad before said event, so I'm pretty confident that we'll fix it. We'll go from there. Oh yeah, brother. Oh. All right. Still got the old slip yoke on there, so all we got to do is take off these 8mm bolts holding on the straps. There it is. As far as the joints on the drive shaft here, they're pretty good, pretty tight. This one might have a little bit of play. That's why we're here to replace them. Now, in years past, I always got the greasable U-joints. As you can see, these are not greasable, because guess who never actually greased a U-joint and always just replaced them? Me. So I figured I won't even bother with the greasable ones. I'm just gonna throw these sealed units in there and we'll call it good. Yes, sir. Getting these little clips out of here. These U-joints don't look all that old. That one came right out. Look at that. That went a little too easy. To the press. This here machine should make pretty quick work pressing out these U-joints. So that should pull out. Look at that. This one just fell right out. Thing wasn't even tight. Now we gotta push this back the other way, get the other cap off. Now we should be able to remove the joint. Cap came out. Got the new U-joint completely installed on that other side I was working on. So now we just have the yoke here, and this side already fell out, so we just have to press this other side out. All right. For our new joint, I'll take off one of the bearing caps and just get her in there as far as I can, like such. Take off the other cap, and we'll just get her on in there. Drop it in, and I'll go ahead and flip this so needle bangs don't go everywhere. And I'll get that other one in there started. Right like that. That one went like all the way in. Oh, they both did. No wonder it fell right out. See, these are both really loose. So, gonna clean out this little groove track and we'll grab one of our new retainers and retain. This one we're gonna have to take over to the press. There we go. Seated in the groove. Same thing on this side. Joints nice and tight. Let's get this drive shaft back on in now. I would recommend you leave your caps off until you have it in place like such. In case you decide to put this thing vertically and caps fall out and needle bearings go everywhere and you don't have any extra caps because you only bought enough U-joints for the job. That's never happened before. Torque spec for drive shaft straps on an XJ with a 1/4 inch ratchet is like that tight right there. Like when you go just like that. There's little tabs here, just make sure your bearing caps settle down in there. You'd know if you didn't though. It'd be very crooked and screwed up. Yep, we're there. Got her done. Kinda got dark on us. We'll take it on a test drive tomorrow. Second thought, don't really matter if it's dark. We'll do it now. So check engine light, so far. Barely backed out. It's already like running a little bit weird. I don't know if you can even hear that, but it's kind of cling banging around. Get on up the road here, see what happens. There's still a vibration. Definitely a little bit better though. Idling good now. Maybe you should just need it a minute. Give her the old Italian tune-up. You hear all that? Or this thing makes all kinds of noise, man. I don't even remember what normal is anymore. Definitely still getting some vibrations. We'll take her back out in the morning. See how we feel about it. Whoa, sounds like a bus. All right, see you tomorrow. I ended up just driving the Jeep around for a couple of days. Unfortunately, it seems like our vibration didn't really go away. The more I drove it around, I just realized that I think it's just as bad. So the plan is now, we're gonna try one more thing. We're gonna go back to the shop. We're gonna pull the front drive shaft, see if it makes a difference. We'll put the front drive shaft back in and then take out the rear drive shaft, drive it around like that, see if that makes a difference. Please start C10. Coming in. All right, front drive shaft removed. Another test drive. If we can't get this issue nailed down, definitely leaning towards taking the Wrangler. Now, at least in the couple days I've been driving it, idling definitely smoothed out. The thing's running fine now, and we're off. Shaky. You hear that? That noise is definitely more noticeable with the front drive shaft out. Every time I deaccelerate, get a nice vibration from the transmission tunnel. Take a listen. Still getting them low speed vibrations, 25, 30 mile an hour. And then it vibrates the heck out of the bumper. All right, we're gonna switch them out again. If the vibration goes away, which I suspect it will now, it's either we got transfer case issues or pinion angle issues, which is causing some binding. It could be pinion angle. With single U-joints, like how the rear drive shaft is set up, the output of the transfer case and the differential should be parallel. The output shaft is pretty much parallel to the floor right now, where that one's pointing up a little bit. That's not a terrible angle that we're at right now. It's only 3 inches of lift. I don't know if it's that. Old drive shaft is out, again. Front one back in place. Let's drop her down in 4-wheel drive and take her for another rip. 4 high. We're off. No low speed vibrations. I don't even need to go around the whole block. That is about everything I needed to know right there. No vibrations. Whoa, I'll be. Wasted 20 bucks on U-joints. On account of the no vibrations, it begs the question, is it the pinion angle previously discussed, or are we having other rear differential issues? Although it probably would have made a heck of a lot of noise because the axle was still rolling, so I don't think the axle's messed up internally. Here's the thing, I don't really plan on fixing any of that. Soon, hopefully soon, as soon as the CJ is done robbing me, we're gonna be going over the XJ pretty good, doing some things, re-gear, new drive shafts. It's really not worth putting any money into when I'm gonna have to mess with all that later anyway. Definitely leaning more towards Courtney's Wrangler now. Let's pull that thing in the shop and see what it's gonna need. Sorry, old girl. Howdy. Before we address Courtney's Jeep for road trip readiness, there is one major issue that we need to solve right now. We have a massive oil leak going on. It is completely coated. The whole underside of the Jeep, the whole transmission is covered. The somewhat good news is it's a fairly common, well-documented issue. And that would be the oil cooler on these 3.6 liter V6 engines. Right here, where your oil filter is housed, this whole unit is plastic. It goes under the intake manifold and it's prone to cracking. And when it does crack, it fills the whole valley with oil, drips down over your transmission, and just dumps oil. Kind of like the situation we're having. Pretty simple solution though. Dorman makes a all aluminum housing, as you can see. But I'm gonna do a complete how-to video on that, and I'm gonna get started on that tomorrow, and then we'll pick back up with this and we'll check it over, get it ready for the road trip. The oil cooler job's going pretty well. I'm actually getting it back together now. There's the new aluminum unit. But for this video, I wanted to add a maintenance item, the spark plugs. I want to check on these because you have to take off the upper intake manifold to get it, the driver's side spark plugs. So before I button this all back up, I want to check these and see if we need to replace them. So we'll unbolt the coil, remove the boot, and we'll slip our spark plug socket down there. All right, let's get a read on it. Oh, I had it. I do not. There it is. Hey, I think we need spark plugs. The strap is like completely wore off. I don't know if you can see that. And that's just the first one I pulled. So just for reference, well, that was like 65 thousandths of gap when they're supposed to be like 45 thousandths. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a set. We'll be right back. Got our plugs back and I gapped them already. Get the rest of them out and install these. All right, I pulled the rest of the plugs and they all look just about as bad. We'll torque them to 15 foot-pounds right there. I also, while I was out, got a new air filter because this is the old one. I'm gonna finish up this oil cooler job and then we'll get back to road trip prep. What do you got to say about all this?
I am tall.
Fair enough. Got this pretty much buttoned up. Throw in our fresh air filter and should be good. That oil cooler job is completely wrapped up now. Courtney's been daily driving her Jeep for the last couple days. Everything is tight. Oil level is good. No leaks whatsoever. This thing is ready for a road trip. Almost. I did go underneath the front end, checked out all the suspension components and ball joints. Everything looks really good actually. No boots were torn. Everything was nice and tight. I also checked the fluid in the front diff. Nice and full, pulled out the plug and it poured right out. The rear axle we actually just recently done. We pulled the cover off, new gasket and brand new fluid in there, so that's good to go. Jeep is now up in the air. Real quick, we're gonna do a wheel bearing test. Wheel bearing secure. Other side. Yep, that one's pretty good too. Next, while it's in the air, we're gonna rotate these tires. Good, get it? Rotated. Back tires go straight back to this position. Boop. Or did I say back tires? Front tires go straight back. And then back tires go front, but to the opposite side. Now some people like to include their spare into their rotations, but not I. That is because that is the only tire where the words are up and down with the road. Just looks good. Check out these brakes before I put these front wheels on. Those are nice and thick. Passenger side is a little bit thinner on the one pad, but it's gonna make it, I think. I ain't gonna worry about it. If we have to, change them out in Alabama. Say what you want. But before I push the wheel all the way on, I gotta make sure the center cap is perpendicular with the words on the tires. That way, you know, you can always read something. While the rear tires are still off, we're gonna do one aesthetic modification to the Jeep. I got these 1-inch coil spacers from TerraFlex. We're gonna throw these in. I have jack stands supporting the frame, and then I just need to unbolt a couple things so I can let the axle droop, pull out the coil springs, and then throw these spacers in. Now the only reason I'm doing this, I'm trying to level out the Jeep. To me, it always kind of looked like it was squatting a little bit, when in reality, I measured it, and from floor to body line, it's actually the same measurement, but the fender gap is a 1/2 inch more in the front, so that's probably what the illusion is. Hopefully these 1-inch spacers solve that. When you get your coil spring out, this will come with it. This will snap right on to the new spacer, like such. This part needs to go and snap up into the frame. So I'm gonna throw some grease on here, because the other one was a pain in the butt. Grease. Schmear. Go install. Now for this part, I got the coil spring in there with the spacer on top, and it needs to like snap into place. So it just so happens this punch fits nicely in there, or pry bar fits nicely in there. If it looks a little janky, that's probably because it is. Come on now. There it went. Lower this down. recover our specialty tool. Go ahead and put all this back together. Got her all reassembled. Throw the wheels on. See how she looks. Hope it's not too much rake. I do like a little bit of rake though. Let's see how we did. Ooh, I like it. Back her up. Come on. It's actually hardly even noticeable, which I'm okay with. I didn't want like a obvious looking rake. What did I say, a 1/2 inch? Something or another? That's about 6 3/4. Well, it's got a 1/2 inch of rake, according to my math. Well, dudes, I'd say she's ready for a road trip. Now we still have like 3 or 4 weeks till we actually go, but the old Wrangler here seems like it's gonna be up to the task. It never really gave us any issues. That oil cooler was probably the biggest issue it ever gave us, that and the clutch, but clutch is just standard maintenance. So, that being said, I think it's gonna get us to Alabama. We do need to get some work done to the X-Tray, but like I said, after the CJ's done, we'll be on it. But that will wrap it up for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Take it easy. See you in the next one.